if you're going to this movie, you need to get rid of the first Gladiator movie. Do not take your expectations from the Gladiator movie, put them aside, because Gladiator II movie, yes, it's the same concept, yes, it follows the son of Maximus, but it's a totally different movie. If I was to give this movie out of 5, I would give this a 4.5 out of 5 with an asterisk, because I enjoyed it for what it was. It's definitely not the first Gladiator movie, because the first Gladiator movie was epic. I mean, Russell Crowe's performance is what actually drove the first movie. It was a character-driven movie that was supported by the spectacle. You know, the white shorts. It was Joaquin Phoenix, Russell Crowe, and all these other characters, but all that was supported by everything else. The sound, the music, the visual effects, the fights. They were there to support the characters. They were there to drive the characters forward. But in this second Gladiator movie, it flips everything around, because now it's more about the spectacle. It's more about the shots. It's more about the epic fights. It's much more focused on the spectacle of a gladiator or that particular world during that particular period. Now, historical accuracy does not exist in this film. Yeah, they went like, we are making an entertaining movie for the sake of making an entertaining movie. And that's why I'm giving it a 4.5, because this was a very good time in the movies. Yeah, this is a crowd pleaser. This is one of those movies you want to watch with your friends to just see their reactions. Because as I was watching it with a group of people, I could hear reactions during particular moments because they were truly invested in the film. And this goes back into a director like Ridley Scott, who knows how to manipulate people. He's been in the industry for so long that he's mastered the art of actually manipulating people using sound and picture, because there are moments that will have you grasp. And I'm not talking about the big action set pieces. There's a moment that you get to the third act that is kind of catches you off guard. And the thing I like about this movie, again, very entertaining, is that after the second act, you truly never know where the story is going. I did not have an idea about where this story was going. You know, I as I said, I had watched the first movie, so I had expectations, but then where they take the story, especially in the third act, was a totally different direction. Now, a part of me was kind of, I wish it would have gone this way, but in relation to the story, in relation to what they had set up, it makes sense for them to take the story where they take it. Now, as I was saying, this is a popcorn movie. Yeah, this is the movie that suspends all disbelief, and it expects and asks of you to actually drop that, because it's epic. You know, if big ships coming to attack a city, that's the opening fight scene, and you're like, damn, this is crazy. And then after that, whatever happens, they're turned into gladiators, and then they're fighting monkeys, these killer monkeys, which are absolutely crazy. I think we've all heard of the sharks. Yeah, you have that scene, and you know, see, that's the thing. People talk about sharks, but it's not about sharks. Yeah, the sharks are a part of this other huge set piece, because it's totally different. The sharks are there to just do the killing, but it's a much broader set piece. And watching that for me was like, yeah, this is what I paid to see. This is exactly what I wanted to see in a gladiator movie. I know it's historically inaccurate, but this is what I wanted to see. You get? And so after that, you have a guy on a rhino. It's totally absurd, and I absolutely enjoyed it. Now, two things. First of all, if you're going to a cinema, go to the biggest screen possible. Number two, go to a cinema that you know that has the best sound possible. Because I watched this on two screens. I watched it on Cinemax, and which is a part of Max, and then I watched it on IMAX because I wanted to check something. I watched it on Cinemax when it was launching, so it's a really wide screen, and then IMAX it's you know, a much longer screen, and I could tell the difference. And in terms of sound too, you need really good sound. So if you can go to a cinema that has a big screen and a good sound, preferably IMAX, but I'm not telling you what to do. You choose whichever cinema that you're choosing, but good picture, good sound, because the sound plays a big role. I think that I loved the music. The music gives it a certain epicness. It's not as good. Yes, you get a touch of the soundtrack from the first movie, and it's not as powerful as that, but I personally enjoyed the soundtrack from this particular movie. I loved the change of music in relation to the tone or in relation to the location. That is actually the one thing that brought me in, because the opening picks everything from the last movie, gives you a synopsis of what happened in the last movie using animation, like animated paintwork. And as the title card also comes in, it's, if you've seen the logo of Scott Free, they use that style to keep you, to blend in the previous movie with this particular movie. And the music now just brings you in. They use such an epic soundtrack for that particular part that it totally just brings you into the film. That is what brought me in, that is what captured my attention, and that is what made me focus. But then that is followed up by an epic fight scene. Now, the reason why we went to see this movie, for me it was Denzel Washington. Is he great? Is Denzel Washington actually good? Denzel Washington is, okay, all the characters are good, but Denzel Washington is on his own. At first I was like, wait, what are they doing with this character? I was like, lukewarm. I was like, I'm not sure I like what they're doing with this character. He doesn't seem, he doesn't have a stand. I don't know where he's going. But as you go into the second and third act, that's when things get interesting. And that's where I went like, yes, this is Denzel Washington. I love what they've done with him. For the last third act, I was like, yes, this is the twist that we actually needed. This is the punch up that we actually needed to make the story interesting. So yeah, I went for Denzel Washington. I was not disappointed. Pedro Pascal, Lucius, all of them are interesting, but with Lucius, I thought his character was much more Mescal. Mescal is definitely not Russell Crowe. Yeah, and you can see it. And even his character is written differently. He doesn't feel as introspective. He doesn't feel as haunted as Russell Crowe. Also Russell Crowe has this need to, you feel, you understand his motivation, and his motivation kinda informs the character, and so you can actually see his pain through his reaction, his look, his whatever, the way he acts. You can actually feel his torment. But with this particular version of Gladiator, but with Mescal, I didn't feel that. I didn't feel that torment. He was more happy to go to die. He was more like a Spartan. Actually, watching him, I was like, this would have made him. This is a better Spartan than a gladiator, because he's looking forward to die. He's excited by the idea of dying because he gets to see, and that makes him kind of happy. And I thought that's what I'm saying, separate the first movie from this one. That was kind of off. But generally, if there were things to complain about, oh my gosh, there are a lot of things that I complain about. That's why I'm saying that this is a flawed, crowd pleaser. It's number one, I thought the editing was choppy, in terms of story, because there are moments that I was left unsatisfied. Like the first battle is epic, it's long, but I wish there was a bit more. There was a bit more of the fight, because they focus more on the aftermath of the battle. Like, you have ships attacking a city, man. I wish they would have just stayed on the battle a few more minutes, because yeah, it's a very long battle, but I wanted to see more of that. Then in terms of characters, I don't think this is character driven. As I said, it's not a very character driven movie. It's more of spectacle. Then the editing, the pacing was okay, but I was actually kept engaged. I was kept engaged by Denzel Washington, more or less. It's not the pacing. The pacing doesn't really do a great job, but I was kept hooked by Denzel Washington, because that's the only person that I wanted to see what his plan was. What was he about? I liked following him. That's why I was able to stay in tune with the film. I thought it was a bit choppy. Then that third act, it's, how would I put it? It's okay for what the movie is. But if you're coming from the first movie, you understand how the third act was, how epic it was, how insane it was. But this one takes a totally different direction, because they kind of, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but they kind of do something different. And I was slightly underwhelmed. I wish it would have been something else. I wish it would have been where it's meant to be, not there where they take it. But generally, as I said, if you're just looking for a movie to have fun, this is it. This is such a fun-filled movie. This is, if you're just looking for something epic to watch, a popcorn movie, a crowd pleaser, just a movie for the sake of making a movie. You know, I think Ridley Scott, I mean, the cinematography is amazing. The costume design is the MVP. The costumes look so cool. And the set designs, Rome feels like Rome. You know, these two mad, whatever, their makeup, everything, these two mad empires with their makeup and outfits, they look the part. You actually buy into the idea that this is Rome. I think the technical part of this movie were done very well. I think Ridley Scott, when it comes to epic movies, he's just a master, because you see it, you get lost in this picture, you get lost in these places, and at no point do you think like, wow, that looked off. Because even as the shark were being presented, I knew logically it doesn't make sense for water to be in the Colosseum, but it looks like it makes sense. When you're looking at it visually, it makes sense. It makes sense for, you know, whatever happening to be happening, and it doesn't look off. You know, it doesn't look like something that was placed carelessly in terms of visuals. It actually makes sense. That's why Ridley Scott, man, Ridley Scott is a, wow. So I'm just telling you, the visuals, the costumes, the cinematography is top notch. I mean, to the details of just going to sit somewhere to eat, to the cups, you know, to the rings, to the coins, to the bath areas. There are just so many details about this movie that most of you are going to love. If you're just looking for a popcorn movie, if you go here expecting a movie like the first one, you're going to be disappointed. So do not go into this expecting the first movie. So basically that's it. Remember to always watch what you enjoy and enjoy what you watch. If you're going in for Denzel Washington, you are not going to be disappointed. Remember to always watch what you enjoy and enjoy what you watch. I shall see you on the next one. Adios.